Okay, I'm gonna come out and say it. This is the worst protagonist in the series, and it's so bad, I don't even think the author likes this woman. Okay, so Margaret has married her first husband, Edwin Edmund Tudor, and she gave birth to Henry after a horrific childbirth scene that was absolutely horrific to read about. And her husband died due to plague, and she's about to marry her second husband, the Duke of Stafford. And in this book, you at the very beginning and throughout this book, you can see that she is just this holier than thou religious zealot who thinks that she is commanded by God and that her son is going to be on the throne, and whatever she wants, that's what God wants. And I know that Philippa Gregory is trying to say that she's really pious and kind of put that into our heads, but I've met very religious people, and a lot of them do not act like this. They are just religious and just living their lives. But I know that that is what Philippa Gregory is trying to say. But I don't think she likes Margaret Beaufort, which is really sad. Poor Margaret Beaufort in real life. She must be very upset. But in this book, she comes off as a religious zealot, and it's annoying. Okay, now she is on husband number three. Her last husband, Duke Stafford, died of his wounds on the battlefield, and he was a really kind husband to Margaret, and he was really cautious, and he did not like the war that was going on, and he only went to war and battle when it was necessary, when he needed to. And he did die of his wounds, probably got infected or something like that. And now she is on husband number three, Lord Lord Stanley, who is loyal to Edward the Fourth and his family, and she finds that that is a good way to, marry, to, get what she wants by staying loyal to the York throne. So that's what she's going to do. She was really calculating in that. So on to husband number three. Okay, now King Edward has died, and King Edward V, his son, is supposed to take the throne, but Richard usurps his place, and there is a plot going between Margaret and the Duke of Buckingham, and which really did happen. She was found out about Richard, Duke of Gloucester, who was Richard III, and she gets everything taken away from her and given to her husband because she had a lot of things in her own right. And she was put on house arrest, but if she were a man, she would have gone, to the chopping block. But since she was a woman, she was just put under house arrest, because before Anne Boleyn, a queen, or, probably even any woman, hadn't been, you know, tried for treason like that. So she ends up, going to being under house arrest when she would have gotten a lot worse if she was a man. And she's still determined to put her son Henry on the throne. Okay, so now we are at the part that everyone does not like, and it is hinted and shown that Margaret Beaufort had the princes in the tower killed instead of Richard III. I think that Philippa Gregory is part of the Ricardian Society that doesn't believe that Richard killed the boys, and she's putting that all up in her literature. And this is the part a lot of people did not like, because I think in real life, Margaret Beaufort just wanted her son to come home, and that was it. I mean, I think the only reason that he became king in the first place was because all the nobility had died, and he literally picked up his crown off the battlefield. But in this book, and it's hinted throughout the different movie television series, that Margaret Beaufort ordered the princes in the tower killed, which probably did not happen, and that made people rage. And it still makes people rage. And I think Richard did it. Okay, I'm not going to sit here. I am going to sit here and that's the hill I'm going to die on. So, yeah, Margaret Beaufort, I don't think killed the princes in the tower. Okay, we're done with that right now. Okay, so the book has ended, and she becomes My Lady the King's mother and signs her name Margaret R., which in real life, she did sign her name Margaret R., but it was for Richmond. She was married to the Duke of Richmond, and so that's what the R stood for. It did not stand for Regina. And we know that her son Henry becomes Henry VII, Henry Tudor, and marries Elizabeth of York. And we know from the White Princess and the Spanish Princess in the series that Margaret becomes the mother and the grandmother from hell. Okay? That's what we know. And I think she is the worst character. I think that she is a religious zealot. She is self-righteous. She thinks that her will is God's will, and it is very, very annoying. It's annoying in any adaptation. I like Alison Weir's portrayal of Margaret better. She portrays Margaret as a nice figure and not a mother-in-law from hell. When you read The Last White Rose, which I will put down in the description. But this is the worst character, I would think, from now on, until we read more. But from what I remember, this is the worst character in her series, and I'm probably not going to revisit this book again. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.